prepared, they're not scared. Everyone knows they're out there. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we've got a lot to cover in a short amount of time, so to get into it, first on the docket, we'll be talking about the Texas fire and the urgent evacuations underway in Texas. We're also going to be talking about Macron could send troops as part of Nato. This is a huge deal. Boots on the ground is not exactly what people want to see right now. Kremlin's warning to Nato. We'll talk about this. Of course, an older message getting new buzz. Billionaire doomsday preppers. Of course, we'll talk about Prince William's no-show. Gosh, as far as the prophecies about 2024, that's kind of nuts. And then, of course, we have crazy royal predictions. Same prediction before Michael, Mr. Jackson died. Weird one right now. And then, of course, we have AI used to target strikes. Again, not used to, but used. You're talking about AI actually deciding the targets. This is very scary. We'll talk about it. We have, of course, Hezbollah commander wiped out. We have Egypt warns of catastrophic repercussions if Rafah is attacked. We'll talk about, of course, Army cutting force by 24,000. They're not hitting recruits, and some reason they are actually cutting forces. We'll talk about who they're cutting. Probably the IT guys. Kim sent 6,700 containers of munitions to Russia. We have, of course, China escalates with military helicopters. We have, of course, Chinese spy cranes in Seattle. Local, I'm actually going to try to get a in-depth scoop on this one. And then, of course, this senator just waved China's flag. What is going on right now? Musician accuses Taylor Swift of performing demonic rituals. Very scary stuff. We've got what town is this? You'll never guess what developing country is this. And then, of course, Control-Alt-Delete. The sphere goes down. Tons more, so make sure to stick around. We'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. They're rich and prepared, they're not scared. Everyone knows they're out there. Rich and prepared, they're not scared. Everyone knows they're out there. Rich and prepared, they're not scared. Everyone knows they're out. All right, and as always, the full bibliography for today's show, including all of our sources over at marfooglenews.com. Let's go over to the map. Of course, first we have to go over to Texas. A huge breaking fire as far as they were doing emergency evacuations. This is as far as everything that's been going on with the rest of the world, Chile, Hawaii. People are looking at it and, of course, wondering what the heck is going on with all of these crazy fires. Of course, here over in Seattle, we had snow yesterday. Meanwhile, Texas is blazing hot, apparently, at least on fire. So we have urgent evacuations are underway as massive and dangerous wildlife rapidly spreads with emergency sirens sounding through multiple locations. Currently, urgent mandatory evacuations are underway as emergency sirens blare for residents across the Panhandle in Texas, as well as surrounding areas. Multiple departments are on the scene battling 4 significant and dangerous wildfires, with 65-mile-per-hour winds making containment extremely difficult. Gosh, that sounds a lot really familiar. Fire is spreading rapidly, causing heavy flames and thick smoke visible for miles. All roads have been blocked. Police and emergency officials are urging everyone to leave this as it is a life-threatening scenario. So big deal here. Obviously, they have some crazy video there as far as the animals running away from the fire. One of the scenes from this is, of course, the vision of the dark fire horizon. As far as you can see, it's just glowing red. Is there symbolics there or symbolism there? I don't know. But man, what a crazy last couple years as far as fires go. Dex, I know we have a lot of Texans in the audience. Is there a current update to the minute that as far as how wide is this? How far ranging is it?
It was over 60 counties. This is in the Panhandle area, and a disaster declaration was given by the governor, Greg Abbott, due to this wide spreading. And I think if you scroll down, you might even be able to see it from a satellite image. I think Roz posted that as well. You can see how much smoke is just coming off of that area. It's pretty impressive.
I'm sorry, you didn't say 60 counties, did you? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has just issued a disaster declaration for 60 counties impacted by wildfires as they continue to rapidly spread.
Okay, I don't know if
that's what Roz said.
I don't know if the Texas counties are different than here, but like, a county, one county here has like Seattle, North Seattle, South Seattle, Renton, Bellevue, like counties are huge. I don't know if they have smaller counties because they have smaller towns in a lot of Texas. But
it's a huge state too, but they have 254 counties and quite a few in the Panhandle.
So that's insane. 60 counties. This is, I guess, is this all open space? Is this all just out in the open? That's what's crazy to think about how big this is. When did this actually start? Didn't hear
two major towns in the Panhandle would be Amarillo and Lubbock, but yes, there's a lot of farmland or plains land.
Oh, so farmland's going to be affected. I'm sure that's not going to affect like inflation and, I don't know, food prices when they're already just absolutely stupidly expensive. So, yeah, that's real great. Yeah. The timing on all of this is just great. And then, of course, Macron announces new steps to boost Ukraine. Doesn't exclude troops. So Macron in France, it's just so weird, especially if you know what's going on in France right now. They have French farmers driving their tractors and dropping manure into McDonald's. There's so many crazy scenes coming out of France right now. And then before that, there was the labor dispute, all of the unions and people talking about how they changed the retirement age from 62 to 64. And they're changing their system there. And then, of course, they have actually said prior, Macron said that he was distancing himself from the U.S. This was when JB was president, not the former president, saying that he was going to distance himself from the U.S. after a couple days after he met with Xi Jinping. Very, very weird. Now, what they're announcing, again, is really, really crazy. They are going to take new steps to help Ukraine, and it doesn't exclude troops. So if you weren't here for yesterday or the day before or missed some of the news, they're talking about that they're not ruling out sending in NATO troops into Ukraine. That's war. I mean, that's literally NATO versus Russia. I don't know what's being thought about right now, but it's not like this would be a surprise to anybody. Everybody theorized and speculated that all of this was going to happen until basically no more money or this couldn't be sent, and then that NATO would replace Ukrainians. Ukrainians have been losing, and that is now apparent. Before, it was a theory. It was a conspiracy theory that they were losing and not actually winning, when now it's pretty clear. Everyone has announced they're not winning. They need more money. Everything has been laid. If they got it earlier, they would have been winning by now. I don't know how, since they don't have anything compared to what Russia has without NATO help or NATO infrastructure. But now they're saying, of course, that they need the $60 billion. Most people are looking at this and going, oh, are they just trying to scare us into us saying, hey, yeah, send the $60 billion. We don't want our sons and daughters going over there. But now Macron announced Monday new steps to boost UKR in its fight against the Russian invasion, saying not even the sending of Western ground troops was ruled out to achieve Europe's goal of defeating Moscow. Speaking after hosting a meeting of 24 European leaders to discuss Ukraine, Macron painted a grim picture of Russia, whose positions he said were hardening both at home and on the battlefield. Says, quote, we are convinced that the defeat of Russia is indispensable to security and stability in Europe. So they're saying that this is an absolute. They have to defeat Russia. That's not good for where this is going. Russia, he said, was showing a more aggressive attitude, not just in Ukraine, but in general. Well, there was, quote, no consensus on the sending of Western ground troops to Ukraine. Nothing should be excluded. We will do whatever it takes to ensure that Russia cannot win this war. Now, mind you, him getting more aggressive, some say that that's expected. Of course, you had two countries actually join NATO when the entire debate on their end, or at least what they were saying, was that they did not want Ukraine to join NATO. And they said if they guaranteed never to join NATO, that they would all go home and pack it up. That did not happen. They said the conditions were unruly and nothing that they could ever agree to. And now we're sitting here much later, and they're saying that, talking about NATO troops going in. Even if we send the $60 billion, what after that? Is $60 billion going to win the war? Is anybody stupid enough to believe that $60 billion, which doesn't go very far as far as this huge military operation, do you think that they're not going to say in 10 months that they need more? Where did people think this was going to go? Either Ukraine surrenders the land that they already gave up, and maybe Putin says, okay, that's good enough for me, which, again, he did mention, like, we won't give up anything we've already taken. And maybe that's how it ends. Or NATO ends up joining in. Or what? We just keep sending money for years? I don't think that will happen. People are really done with it. Both sides of the aisle here. I don't know how your other countries are responding, but it's getting pretty crazy. Dex, as far as Macron and France, like this goes kind of along with the next story, which is the Kremlin. Do you want to weigh in on that as well?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Macron doesn't necessarily have unanimous support here. Obviously, a lot of people understand that sending in troops is going to cause a major conflict to erupt across all of Europe. But the fact that he's willing to say that they're going to do whatever it takes certainly has a lot of people concerned about, where NATO is. Are they acting together, or are they starting to act independently? I think is part of the concern here, because NATO itself is sort of taken a step back and said, "Wait a minute, we didn't say we're doing that yet." But he's sort of driving this narrative forward. Now, the Kremlin came out and said, "Wait a minute, this is absolutely no go." And they announced just today that the intervention of NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine would inevitably lead to a direct confrontation between Russia and the Western military alliance, describing the discussion of such a possibility as a, quote, very, very important new element. So the fact that Macron is suggesting this, the fact that other countries have suggested it as well, but not all of NATO has suggested it, is bringing this to a new light. And if we go back in time just a little bit to that video that's sort of making its rounds, this was something that Putin said back in 2022. He basically said if NATO had anything to do with Ukraine in the sense of joining, or in this case even putting boots on the ground, that he wouldn't have a problem using any of his forces, and basically NATO wouldn't know what would happen before they could even blink and enact Article 5. So some pretty big words coming out of his mouth. But again, this is in the past, so a lot of people are referencing it now as if it's current, but it's still relevant. It's relevant to understand the positioning that Russia has taken against NATO being in Ukraine.
And what's crazy is he actually mentions Mr. President Macron, of course, doesn't want this, right? You won't even have time to blink your eye when you execute Article 5, collective defense of NATO members. And then this is over a year old. Mr. President Macron points to Macron, of course, doesn't want this. What the heck? Like, this is why the framework, and when you watch the pattern of what is said, like an article today will kind of foresee what's going to happen in the future. And people go, oh, yeah, sure. Well, it's speculation. A lot of the media, it puts out what's happening. It puts out, as far as a lot of the media that puts out, things that go, well, according to 3 government sources that are familiar with the matter, but chose the path of anonymity, a lot of those are messages that are put out on purpose to purposely put that message out. Otherwise, they're traitors. I mean, that's treason. You can't give out top secret information. But it happens every day. As far as Putin goes, everybody's torn up right now. Everybody's divided, just like everything else. People are now divided on Putin. People are fans of Putin now. I see more Putin profile pics than I do Zelensky. And that's because of the Tucker interview and everything else. I would say that it's definitely not a great idea to say that Putin's a hero either. But as far as many people are so mad at being lied at, what do people expect? What does everyone expect? When you are lied to by the media, where now it's like 30% people actually trust it anyways, you get to the point where once people get lied to enough, they get mad. They get angry. So then they end up going, well, the other guy, I like that guy more because he's not lying to me. I'm sure Putin is lying as well. But the thing is Putin's publicly saying things that most people hear go, yeah, that's the truth. So it starts to look like Putin is telling the truth and the Western media is not. This is not on accident. Like everything that's happening right now is heading us down a certain road. Go over and check the video over on Marfoogle News, which again, we can put a card at the very end of the video. Go check that video out. We talked about why the rich and prepared are preparing, right? But again, it goes into this whole thing. Like, what is about to happen? Our world's about to change drastically, and people really need to start realizing that. All right, before we move on, make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. They actually emailed us and said that they wanted to be completely transparent. They are absolutely swamped right now, and they normally ship out like the next day. EMP Shield for 5-6 years has always been super, super fast. You get it within a few days. They just wanted to let people know there might be a slight delay. That's not like, months or something like any lithium product. But again, you're talking like days or a week and a half or something like that. So again, make sure to go and check with them on current supplies. But I kind of called this. I told people for the last month that they were, if they ran out of the regular one to get the micro, a lot of people are looking at what the adversarial countries are saying. A lot of people are looking at, of course, what we are dealing with the solar events. We had a huge chunk of our cellular network go out. People were buzzing as if that was solar or cyber event. Either way, people are going, wait a second, I need to protect my stuff. This can ground the signal of a EMP or multiple EMP strikes from an enemy or a Carrington level event from a solar event, so CME. So this can do both. It's very easy to put in. Somebody 100 years old with arthritis could do this. It's very easy. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to ground as far as to put this in your car. And in less than 10 minutes, you've got it done and you've got your car protected. That way you can get home or get out to bug out. If you work 30 or 40 miles from work or from home, this is a really great idea. Obviously, they expect in a huge grid down or in some sort of event like that, the roads are going to be crazy, whatever else. People, of course, would have to walk that if not. So again, make sure to go protect yourself, marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. You can also put it on your motorcycles or scooters, generators, your home, your solar generators in the case of the Flex. They do have these in stock, whereas Energy is actually often run out. They have their own stock of it because they have teamed up with Energy. They make these directly for the Flex 1500. So if you want one of those, if Energy didn't have it, you can go directly to them and get our $50 off discount. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. It helps support us, and it helps, of course, protect yourself. All right. Let's take a quick... Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Adam, we have some updates that we probably need to jump to as well before we get too much into the rest of the story. Larry Gatlin in chat has given us an image. It's in Screener, as well as there's now a nuclear weapons facility, Pantex nuclear weapons facility in Carson, Texas. It's being evacuated.
Okay,
if you want to grab this and
let me read Larry's comment here. Wildfires near Canadian Texas and giant dinosaur Dex. That is the subject of email with the photo I emailed to you. Incredible picture. Larry Gatlin, thank you for sending us this. Let's see here. So let me put this on screen. Wait, so what are we looking at here? What the heck? Oh, is that a tourist landmark? That's the giant dinosaur?
Yeah, that's the giant dinosaur.
How big is that? That looks pretty huge. If that's as big as I think it is. Texas is so crazy because you guys have the biggest roads, one of the best road systems, 6-lane. What is it? Don't somewhere you guys have like 8-lane highways and stuff? The best. A lot of people say during a disaster it would be one of the best places. Look at that. Look at how insane that is. That is apocalyptic. If I've ever seen apocalyptic, that is straight out of a movie. What's even crazier is that looks like the meme that Elon Musk posted about, gosh, that looks so eerily like the meme that
Dogecoin.
The Dogecoin, doesn't it? Isn't that what it reminds you of? I don't know if we can get that meme, but gosh, that reminds us exactly of that. And then let's update as well. We have currently, evacuations are underway. This isn't good either. Let's see here. Oh no, that's not good either. Evacuations are underway at nuclear weapons facility amid approaching fast wildfires, causing them to halt all operations. Currently, evacuations are underway at the Pantex nuclear weapons facility. Nuclear weapons facility, man. In Carson County, Texas, due to rapidly spreading wildfires in the area, the facility, located 21 miles east of Amarillo, holds nearly 20,000 plutonium cores and is actively producing the B6112 bomb and W88 Alt 370 warhead. A warhead. They're actively producing these. As the plant is responsible for assembling and disassembling America's nuclear arsenal, the plant has halted all operations because of the nearby fires out of control. Focus has shifted entirely to evacuations with the few non-essential personnel seeking shelter on site. Wait a second. So what do they mean? They said focus has shifted. Like, are they talking about like getting people out of there instead of getting the stuff shut down? Like that would be pretty nuts.
Or maybe not trying to put out the fire near there and just trying to get people out.
Oh, great. So basically the fire's not even going to be attempted to put out. Everything is going to be burnt. All this farmland is going to be gone. This could possibly irradiate Texas, which, funny enough, is the one talking about seceding. And this is just insane timing. This is with all of these events happening for the normal person. It's just a bunch of hype. Everything in the world is just a nothing burger. Nothing will ever happen to me. It could never happen here. I live in a quiet neighborhood. It's usually so quiet here. It's usually so quiet everywhere, isn't it? Before we move on, let's go over to chat. There's even more crazy stuff coming. So again, if you don't like scary movies, I'd highly recommend tuning out right now. Let's go over to the chat and say hello. Just to give a general state or province, if you're from Texas, tell us how is it there? What's going on there? Is it smoky there all over the state? I'm assuming out of that state, it's going to be smoky. I'm assuming the smoke from that fire is going to travel. If you have pictures or video, send it to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. It is the top, at the very top, the tab, play my video, and then you can actually upload any video. That you can, very easy to do. Go to YouTube, upload your video. If you have a name in chat, then you have an account. Push the plus sign, say upload video, upload a video from your phone, title it. You can put it up unlisted, send it to us, and then boom, we can put it on the show. We can even get it on tonight's show if you have something from the fire today. If you get it in right now. So yeah, let's go over to chat here, and thank you everybody for being here. Blibber Babber, Nate Dampier, what is happening? Christchurch, New Zealand, Tiges NZ. If you're lucky, when the end happens, everybody's going to be coming to your town. Let's hear Michigan, Bailey Brenshaw, Julie Bailey, Nathan Pinkerton. Thank you, Susie Reynolds. We've got James Damron here over on X. Let's hear hello from Charleston, South Carolina. We have R-Tube, South Texas. We have another Michigan in here. We've got Melbourne, Australia. Gaynor, what's going on? Arkansas and Fireban, Triple RBS29. We've got Nerd Bucket from Georgia. Hi in Texas. I'm just outside of San Antonio. No fire. Living free and not dying in tax-free New Hampshire. Jacksonville in Florida. We've got David Holston in the house. Dope Heathen. Where's my old school Foogle fam? If you're watching in the chat, pop in just to say hi. DFW Jackie, Anita Torres, Mr. Mars, Rochester, Indiana. Or if you're old school Foogle fam, comment if you're watching the replay. Rain, Athens, Georgia. We have OHIO. Cleveland, Springfield, Missouri. We've got Arkansas has some big fires right now. I'm sorry, Michael, that's not good. Lorraine, we've got Kentucky in the house, Laura Griffith. We've got Lisa Douglas, Fiction and Reality, 3.3 thousand. Oh, thank you for letting us know that. I did not know that. Thank you guys, and appreciate each and every one of you that are here. Chicago Burbs, Dangerous Dax, Kim Canadian, See Her Think, Tina Jarvis, Old School here. Yes, absolutely. Stuart F, Wide Awake and Angry. You've been here a long time. Let's hear Judy Bira. Let's see here. Rob Stewart, Nickel Wise, you're old school. Bucket of Rock, Vicky K's old school. Shastina's old school. Gina Stanley's old school. Terry Wilkerson. We've got No Expectations. See Her Think is, of course, old school. Tuck Pup here. Tadekika. Tuck Pup is very old school. Annie Oakley. Thank you guys. Thank you for making it. I know a lot of folks, like, either they still watch, but they get bored of chat, or they have an issue with somebody or something. But I get emails from people and I'm like, I didn't even know you watched anymore. I'm super happy to have such a awesome online family here. All right. Let's see here. Let's get to the next one. Let's see. We have Hawaii life of billionaire doomsday preppers stash of weapons and gold to the $200 million secret bunker. So we covered this in depth. Just a reminder, go over and we'll try to put a card here. You can go watch this video if you're watching the replay over at Marfoogle News. But Mark Zuckerberg, we talked about, of course, all of these rich and elites. There's actually a huge list that's growing of these elites that are essentially prepping themselves for some sort of doomsday. Now, I don't want to say the end of the world scenario, because I don't think that's what they're prepping for. I think they're preparing for a massive event that's going to put us through hell and then come back out of it. I think that they're prepping for an event where things are going to get bad momentarily, and it may be weeks, it may be months, it may be a year, but in the long term of things, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. I don't think they're just preparing for, just for shiz and giggles. A lot of these guys have gotten golden passports. In fact, one fact that I forgot about there, Sam Altman, who is one of the most connected people in the world now, he is, just to put it into perspective, NVIDIA, because of their AI department, NVIDIA used to just do chips and stuff for gaming. Probably most people don't even know the name yet. It has become a behemoth that's bigger than almost anything in the world because of they're making chips for AI. AI is now going to be the future. It is going to be the people who invested in AI. It's kind of like investing in Microsoft back in the day. It is a huge, huge thing. Unfortunately, it's a huge thing that's going to change our world forever. Sam Altman is prepping. He has antibiotics. He has weapons. He has gold. He has cash. He has all of that out. He also has a plan with his buddy to go in a private place that he's going to in New Zealand. You have people like Rick Ross, all these people preparing. Why? Let us know if you know somebody, or if you know personally of somebody that is up there as far as wealthy, if they've gotten a heads up, if they are preparing, what they are doing for it. Are they building a bunker? You don't have to give us specifics, but tell us a general story. What do you guys know? Email adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com, or hit me up on Twitter @Marfoogle. Of course, the Twitter X family is growing every single day. Thank you guys for watching. People like Starin, people like, of course, Susie over there, James Dameron over there. Thank you guys for watching over on X. But yeah, so make sure to go watch that video. As far as, we won't cover it too much here, but you also notice that they're preparing for how to basically live a sustainable life. I think it's very weird Zuckerberg is sitting there learning how to blacksmith. People go, oh, it's just a tourist thing where you go make a katana. That's not the only thing he's doing. The guy has a freaking emergency slide in his office in California to go down to his car. These people know something. Absolutely. They are connected to the richest, most powerful people in the world, above presidents. Why are they prepping? Dex, go ahead.
Well, and let's not forget Elon. Not that he's prepping, but he's built things, two specific things that are very near and dear to the whole notion of a doomsday scenario. One, he has built technology to go off grid. He's made many houses that are out there that now have complete solar systems on them with huge battery backups, so they can be completely off grid. I know he's not the inventor of solar, but he's been an impetus of bringing that about, especially the battery technology. But he also talked heavily about how when he developed the Cybertruck, it was to be the ultimate doomsday vehicle. Now you might laugh and chuckle and say, in a doomsday scenario, where am I going to get power from? Well, wait a minute, you're going to get it from, these elite are going to get it from that big power source from their solar investments that they have to power their bunkers and charge up their fancy Cybertrucks that have bulletproof, windows on them, which, by the way, was just talked about. I think today people were saying how in LA, it was even tested in the real world where criminals were trying to break into Cybertrucks and they couldn't break through the windows. So talk about some real life experience there.
Yeah, he made the Cybertruck bulletproof. I mean, like, come on. That's insanity. It is the cool factor. He also knows what people like even just the stupidest thing, like being able to change your car horn to a fart noise. As silly and as amateur as that is, the fact that people could do their own sound, like that was, people have said that's just cool. He knows how to reach into a grown man and get to their teenage, like, oh, that's cool. As far as, I mean, Joe Rogan, what is the purpose of shooting an arrow at a car, right? Other than be like, that's cool. These guys, also, he's talking about getting 1 million people to Mars by 2029. There's a chunk of you that absolutely do not believe that, vehemently think it's just total BS. But time will tell, and that's the exciting part about it is I'm not going to believe anything until I see it myself. Until you can just buy a ticket for $30 to go up into space, or 30 future credits or something, or future social credit score credits to go up into space, then yeah, because I don't know anybody that's been to space. But as far as I'm excited to see a future if there's possibly people going to another world. What I'm afraid of, though, is those 1 million people will be picked. Those 1 million people will be picked. And who knows? This is another thought that I had, and this is a crazy thought, is in the future, when 8 billion people are out of the job because robots are caught up, they can literally create them cheaply. They can do every kind of labor job, even construction, all sorts of things. And you have AI doing every artistic job, every developing coding job, every computer job that you can think of, every phone answering job, pilots, truck drivers, everything will be done by AI and autonomous driving. When that happens, what happens to 8 billion people if we are this populated, right? And it's only going to go up. What do these people do? Well, that means you would have to change the system. That means it would have to steer away from even currency. It would have to be a way. It would have to be a system of you do something for them, they do something for you type thing, like a Star Trek, a future without a currency. It would truly be an evolution of people. But think about this. What if they still do need workers on Mars or something? Or the people that are grunt workers stay here on Earth? Well, the rich and elite have this beautiful Elysium up in the sky. A lot of people are going to doubt it, but look at where we're at. People accept as fact that they are going to the moon, going to Mars, that we are implanting chips into people's brains, that AI is now, the fear is it's going to be sentient. All of these things were the actual science fiction stuff that people worried about 100 years ago, 50 years ago, that they did, the future, and they thought it was going to be there. Come 2000, 2010, people are like, wait, cars aren't flying now. It's not Fifth Element. It's not Back to the Future. That we're not on hoverboards. We're actually really behind. All of a sudden, with AI, there is a real scary question that this AI could do these things, develop things, come up with synthetic lethal, computer viruses that would be able to take out the world in a minute, or it could advance us so fast that we have no idea how to even work. Like we're in a crazy time. This is probably the most exciting and scary time to be alive. Do you guys agree? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know in the chat. We've got all sorts of great people there. Weigh in on it. What do you guys think? Jason Helms, send everyone a little Hemsar. I'm going to take my chances wild in the woods before going to space. Big Chase, I've covered things that makes me wonder about, if you were to bug out and get away from it all, how are you going to do that? Now with systems that can track even a leaf falling off a tree in the woods, how would people be able to hide from some sort of authoritarian system if they can literally track a squirrel in the woods? They could set up geofences and say, hey, if you see people here, even if it's covered, like somebody covered up something and made it look like grass in the woods, now they have advanced systems that would be able to see through the earth and see through any kind of through steel or concrete. That's nuts. I'll go to my bunkers, is Fort William, Texas. Big Chase, 3 seashells. What's going on, some bad Lieutenant? Susie Q. Where are my military people at? Salute. Thank you for your service, you guys. Agree, scary but exciting, says Kim Canadian. Yeah, it's not. Think about it. It's just, if this is all real, this is accepted fact. If this is real, we are in such an insane time. And then Dex, let's go over UK. Prince William pulls out of engagement over personal matter.
Yeah, so we're not really sure what the personal matter is. There's some assumption that something else may be happening here, but William's Kensington Palace office declined to elaborate, but did say Catherine, the Princess of Wales, continued to be doing well with her situation, because she was, I think, hospitalized when the King was earlier this year as well. But William was due to attend a memorial at the Windsor Castle, west of London, for the late King Constantine of Greece, who was also one of his godfathers. But he had to bail out of it, and he said it was for personal reasons. So what we don't know is happening here. There's a lot of stuff happening. We had Lord Rothschild pass away the other day. We have the king being announced that he's going through some serious illness, which we'll talk about in just a moment, and some predictions that are going on with that. And King Charles being absent from a lot of things right now. And then, we also have William's wife, Catherine, being sick, and now William is bailing out on an event that he was supposed to be at. So a lot of people are questioning what's happening. And there's also some strange activity with the color and the horses that were going through town, which seemed to line up with the day before somebody else had perished. So I'm not really sure what the deal was that, but they said they hadn't seen that pomp in a long time, like many years, back to one of the great wars.
And as far as I originally found this is the original poster, we believe, MJ Ultra. And then, but I actually saw it 444 on Twitter, Hopkinson, I believe. So yeah, thank you so much for posting that. And then, I believe you found this separately through MJ, which I think is the original poster. Either way, I first saw it from 444 over on Twitter. But thank you. I don't know if you tagged me or not, but and then this shows the Inquirer 6 months, almost exactly before my MJ perished, says 6 months to live, right? This is totally like tabloid stuff. Well, 6 months later, he was gone. Well, now, if you look at the next one, they show the Inquirer saying that King Charles battle with exposes, and they say he's got 6 months to live. King Charles only has 6 months, according to the National Enquirer. So a lot of people, of course, are like, oh my gosh. You know what's even freakier? The prophecy. If you don't know about this crazy prophecy, I think it's Lady Baba, but there's also Nostradamus ones about this year, about 2024, talking about, maybe it's Nostradamus. One of the crazy prophecies is that the king would... a king that was not liked would end early or something, and then would be replaced with an unexpected replacement, right? Or somebody who no one ever thought would be king. Now, William is set to be king, so everybody expects William to be king. So people think that that's Harry. Harry has left the family. It's very unlikely that he would become king unless something happens to William. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. Now, all of a sudden, he's got this cancer. And now you have Prince William not showing up to things, something happening possibly with his wife. What if there ends up being some sort of huge scandal all of a sudden, and he has to step down from the royal family? You know, some sort of dirt on, and I'm not trying to offend anybody from over there that is fans of the royal, but things can happen. And there's the questions out there. And what if it does align up with Nostradamus? Even if people don't believe in the Nostradamus, Lady Baba stuff, what is freaky is how a lot of these crazy, super specific prophecies have come true, whether they be biblical prophecy or just seers or, I guess, psychic people, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, thought it was super interesting. It's what's the chatter over on X. X definitely has different things rising to the top than it used to. All right, and then what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear from you. And let's see here. Larry Gatlin, thank you again for your support. Appreciate that. Gunpowder Productions says, look at Reuters article from 2018 on Pantex nuclear weapons facility in Texas housing old plutonium with nowhere to go in direct path of wildfire. I'm assuming you meant spelled corrected you. I hate that. In direct path of the wildfire. Yes, so we did cover that a minute ago, and it is nuts. But just in case
I grabbed that article. It's in the screener.
Just in case you joined us late, let's see here. I had the X of it here. Yeah, this one. This is crazy. If you joined us late, there was a breaking story. The wildfire was threatening the nuclear plant, the Pantex nuclear weapons facility. It is currently where they were making the B6112 bomb and the W88 Alt 370 warhead. So that's why this is a big deal. They said that they have focus has shifted entirely to evacuations with very few non-essential personnel seeking shelter on site. That's crazy. That means that they're still there. They're going to stay there. So that means that there are a few essential people that are going to try to stay there. What happens if everyone has to leave? That's kind of crazy to think about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say this article from 2018 is talking about one of the things that Pantex has been doing there with dismantling and dealing with old plutonium. And they seem to have 54 metric tons of a surplus of plutonium sitting there, and they have nowhere to put it. So it's just hanging. So that adds to the problem, not just the fact that they manufacture those two weapons there, but apparently, if you go back to this old article, you'll see that they are storing 54 metric tons of surplus plutonium there. That's a huge deal. So the plant near Amarillo, It has exceeded 20,000 cores called pits. Regulation allows it to actually hold. So it's exceeding what it was allowed to hold from a temporary basis. And they've got nowhere to put it, nothing to do with it. So they've just been leaving it there.
Gosh, it is getting absolutely crazy. And then Dex, do you want to talk about Maven? In fact, Pentagon used the Maven developed AI to identify airstrike targets.
Certainly. So we heard a little bit about this type of technology, this AI tech being used in Israel when they were picking their places to strike based off of AI technology. Well, apparently, the Pentagon came out and admitted that they were using this too. They actually have had an old project with Google using Project Maven was the machine learning algorithm that they were using in conjunction with Google. They since ended that contract. At least Google decided not to do it any longer back in 2019, but they still have it. They still have access to whatever components of that they had licensed at the time, they being the Pentagon. Well, apparently they've been using that information or that AI system to decide what targets to strike in the Middle East. So that's what's been sort of coming out and coming to light. Now they're trying to spin it and tell us, don't worry, it's just information that humans are using. The AI itself isn't actually making a decision on what to target. Now, it's always difficult to you got to take everything you get from the government like that with a grain of salt because they have to hide the top secret information, and this could easily be considered that classified area, whether or not they're using AI to pick targets or not, or whether or not they have humans in them. But what they tell us or what they want us to know is that don't worry, we use AI to find these locations, but then we submit those to humans to evaluate and determine if we should actually do it. But what they're doing, the AI is looking at satellite images, looking at other data points, putting it all together, and from that identifying strike targets and bringing those to the surface so they can be inputted into the military, so to speak, to then strike them.
Now they say that it's part of the OOGS, the parent of this platform here over on the YouTubes. They said that back in the day, do you remember that a lot of people did a strike at the company because they were working with government and weapons companies and things like this? It says the OOG's now defunct partnership with the Pentagon. To be precise, the project entailed the use of the big G's artificial intelligence technology by the U.S. military to analyze drone footage and to pull up images for further human review. At the top, it actually says, and I remember, like, humans that worked there didn't want to be a part of something that would take lives. Remember their motto used to be, don't be evil, or don't do evil? Like, it's literally happening. But it says, but a Pentagon official reassures that human workers constantly checked its recommendations. These aren't recommendations. And the future fear is that, say, a missile is going to be launched, thousands of missiles. They have cameras on it that would be able to see somebody, or drones, weaponized drones would see somebody, be able to pick out certain people, exactly how they portrayed it in Olympia Has Fallen, I believe. It was the Gerald Butler / was it Denzel? No, it wasn't. It was Morgan Freeman. And in that movie, they showed this launcher with a kind of looked like one of those fireworks with 40 launch tubes on the back of a truck, launch out 40 plane drones with boom booms on them. And they each picked a target, and it picked the whole security, the secret service agents, and it pulled up pictures and it portrayed this. And the crazy part is that's what they're actually doing right now. That's what China is doing. And when you think about how China is like farming all of the stuff from the internet, including our profile pictures and the pictures of us and whole files on us, more files than anybody has on us. It's like, think about that in the future. Think about how they're making autonomous drone carriers that could pull up to California, launch 10,000 missiles that would then go pick out certain targets, people, say, I don't know, people that they also pulled from the weapon owner leak that came out in California and knock out every person who owns a bang bang. Like, this is crazy stuff. And now they're saying that the Pentagon is using this already. That oh yeah, but don't worry, there's always somebody kind of watching it. Has it already made mistakes? Has it made mistakes that, if public, would have absolutely just crushed this program and the whole world would be calling for them to stop it? Probably. But again, this is top secret stuff, and I'm wondering why they're even mentioning it. Unless something is going on behind the scenes, or something may leak, or something may come out soon. Usually they release stuff like this when they know something's going to get out. They release it first. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Lebanon, IDF wipes out Hezbollah commander on embattled Lebanon streets in dramatic footage. Now, crazy stuff here. I saw more dramatic comments about the way this guy looked than the actual story itself. But as far as this goes, they say they just took out a significant leader, Zahn Hussein Salami, which you guys have heard that name. We've covered it a bunch. Dex, is this not the gentleman who replaced somebody big as well?
That's a similar name to Hussein Salami, who was the Iranian military officer. I don't think that's the same person.
Okay,
same last names. I always had to look it up
isn't
real quick. That was what I was delayed. Sorry.
No, and I'm glad that it's not. If this was the same Salami that replaced Soleimani, that would be freaky. So I guess I was actually off on this one. When I read this, I thought that this was the Salami that replaced Soleimani. That would be freaky. Either way, it's a main leader of Hezbollah, which again, Soleimani is straight up Iran, and the IRGC. So yeah, that's my bad.
No, the names are almost identical to us, but yeah, they're two different people.
Well, there's also another Soleimani that's in top ranking position, by the way, that is spelled exactly the same. I guess Salami. How do they actually pronounce it? Because we all say salami, which if you met somebody with Salami last name in person, I'm sure it'd probably be offended. Is it Salami? Yeah, that's what I don't get. But either way, it's a big victory, or so they say. What is going to be the response? What is the tit for tat that will happen? Is this going to kick a hornet's nest? As far as the dramatic footage, this whole story and the linked everything that's linked, including videos and all that, will be over on our website. There's a lot of, by the way, there's a lot of disturbing videos on the internet right now, especially since yesterday's crazy events, or was that Sunday, where the airman took his own. Lots of very disturbing things out there right now. And then Dex, Egypt warns of catastrophic repercussions if Israeli attacks Rafah. This one,
they keep going back and forth on this. Yeah, they keep going back and forth on this. They had this warning where they were going to pull out of the treaty, but then they said, no, we're not going to pull out of the treaty. But now they're really trying to push hard on saying, hey, don't do this Rafah attack. If you do, there's going to be catastrophic consequences. I don't know if they're necessarily saying that they're themselves are going to be it. I think what they're really referring to is the fact that the consequences are going to be severe across the Middle East, and what's going to continue to flare up at greater levels. But there's also a significant issue, with them, because when you look even on this map here, you look where Rafah is. It's right there at that line. That line is the line demarking Egypt from the Strip. And when they've basically pushed everybody up against that wall, theoretically speaking, down the Strip to the edge of Rafah. And now if they come in and attack, there's nowhere for them to go. Or if they do go somewhere, they're going to be trying to go into Egypt, which is going to cause a problem for Egypt. And they've lined up their military there to try to prevent anyone from coming in, because they don't want the refugees coming into their country. And they don't want that. They've said no. So This is all coming, to a head in the coming days. We will see how far Israel takes it, if they actually go all the way in, if they sort of finish it off, so to speak, which is pretty horrific to say it that way, but that's pretty much what it comes down to. This is the last section that they're gonna go through and sort of invade very heavily, and it will, I guess, as they're saying, cause, and that's what a lot of people are looking at. A lot of people are upset about, especially across the Middle East, is what's happening here.
Look at in this small area because it's such a high population. If you look at this is what's crazy to me, like in the strip, right? Look at how much of this is cement gray. This is all, if you zoom in on this, it's just house, 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 house. They have packed in so many people into this strip. Over 2 million people are now essentially down at this very end where Rafah is. I wonder what current satellite photos look like. Like this, I know is from 22, right? What would a current satellite photo look like with 2 million people in an area that's supposed to normally house like 200, 300,000 people? This is probably covered in tents and I don't know what really is happening, but again, it would be crazy to see how did they pack in 2 million people into a place that was only meant to house. How many people are taking people in? Is everybody sleeping on the streets? Are all of these brown areas now set up as tent cities? Like, this is just like out of my own curiosity. Like, where are all these people staying? I'm sure some of them have family down here. What is crime like with, I'm sure not and 40% of the population there are children. It's pretty, there's a lot of questions there. Wonder what's going on. Everything would be heightened up. If this area is set up to handle so many people, just general things that happen, people getting injured by accidents, people knocking their teeth out or getting in fights or getting in car accidents or falling off their bike. How are the hospitals faring with 2 million people in an area for 100,000? What a trip. And then if they do go in and start just going, this is what can make a world war right here. Look at all the gray. Look at the houses. It's really insane. And of course, let's see here. We have. Oh, so just a reminder, we have now picked up Jace. If you don't know about Jace, I used it during CV. This was actually a great resource during CV. But as far as Jace Medical, if you haven't heard of them already, it is a legit way for you to get backup medicines. You have a full board certified doctor that you talk to. You do an appointment, and you can get something like the Jace case that has all sorts of great emergency life-saving medications, antibiotics, and things. They also have different plans for if you have regular medication, as long as it's not like the crazy stuff that you have to go directly to a doctor, have them hand you a piece of paper and go. There's a lot of regular stuff that you can get through them for either trips or emergencies or things like this, where you will have a constant supply that is shipped to you. So go over and learn more. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace. This was in response. So many people over the last few months have been asking us, hey, how do I get these kind of things? How do I get emergency this, emergency that? How do I get, stuff like albuterol for my kid if all things go south? This really, really got important. Like the other day, there was a massive cyber attack on all of the pharmacies. People are still having issues. I know as of yesterday, there were issues because we had one with the serious medication that we needed for one of our kids. So I know that they're still having issues varying not only at pharmacies, but at hospitals. There are massive events like that if they happen, it really puts a whole stop on things. And if you don't have that backup medicine, if there's a medication that you take every day and all of a sudden you can't go to the pharmacy and get it, what do? Well, that's where this comes in. So definitely something to look at. It's a premium service. Go check it out, marfooglenews.com/Jace, and learn more. Make sure to use the code MARF, though. You will save, especially on the Jace case. So go over and check it out. And then North Carolina, U.S. Army cutting force by 24,000 amid recruiting shortfalls. When you first see this, it's like, wait, what? It doesn't make too much sense. First, though, I want to say thank you to Bones and Tubbs Show. Old school Fugel fam, thank you so much for popping in. All of my old school Fugel fam that used to be in the Discord. I see a bunch of you in here. Thank you, and thank you, Bones and Tubbs Show. Again, thank you over on D Live. Lots of old school Fugel fam in there as well. One on B, Kimbria, Vicky, thank you so much as well. Cloud Pharrell and Kimbria, thank you. And then Beer Juice, thank you as well for your support over on D Live. When you see cutting force by 24,000, it makes you scratch your head. Literally, I had an itch. But it's a specific type of people, right? So they're going to be cutting certain parts of the jobs out of this. It says the almost 5% of jobs will be cut, mostly affect posts that have remained empty and not actual soldiers, according to Army document published Tuesday. The Army is not asking current soldiers to leave. As the Army builds back and strength, build back better, strength over the next few years, most installations will likely see an increase in the number of soldiers actually stationed there. But it says most of the jobs being slashed are related to counterinsurgency positions that grew during the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, but are not in high demand today. So trainer positions, people that are training foreign militaries, things like that. But at the same time, cutting 24,000 positions is pretty crazy. Dex, as far as we probably don't need guys that are full-time trainers of foreign militaries if we don't have that, but we still have those positions. It's just not as many. Since we don't have 50 proxies going, we only have a few.
Yeah, that's correct. They're trying to restructure to make up for the loss, right? And shift around people into critical positions. And it sounds like they are still trying to increase the number of boots, so to speak, or soldiers versus some of the other non-combative roles. But the service is currently structured at 494,000 soldiers, but the total number of active duty soldiers is only about 445,000. So they're quite short of where they're supposed to be. And even the new plan to take them to 2029 is only going to take them to 470,000 active duty soldiers.
Look at somewhere like Iran has like 580,000, and with their reserves they have like 780,000, and then of course they have 23 million people as part of their kind of militia structure, which is really crazy. You look at China's military as far as man to man. Yeah, it's crazy we have these recruiting shortfalls, but it's not a surprise. Look at media. Look at our youth. Our youth doesn't want to join the military. If you go 30 years back, people were begging to join the military. They were saying, I want to serve my country. Now people are like, their question is, what can I get from my country for free? What do you guys think? Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. And North Korea has sent 6,700 containers of munitions to Russia, South Korea says. North Korea, of course, sent these. They say that the combination of what this is, they basically say at least a few million, what do you call them? Shells have been sent. They don't know what is actually in these containers, but they said if it was all shells, it could be 3 million artillery shells, or it could be 500,000, 122 millimeter rounds, depending on, how much space they take up in the thing. So they've done the math. They've said, wow, 6,700 containers. But really think about that. North Korea has sent Russia 6,700 containers of military gear. What is in them? Again, we don't know exactly, but they can roughly estimate that it's probably millions of artillery shells, or at least 1 million. And it says hundreds of North Korean munitions factories are running at around 30% of their capacity due to a lack of raw materials and electricity. That's what they say. But those producing artillery shells for Russia were operating at, quote, full swing, he added, without elaborating on the source of the information. So they're making it sound like, no, even though they've barely got their lights turned on, they're producing at full time for Russia. Obviously, North Korea is getting stuff out of this as well. North Korea just announced, and some experts have confirmed, that now they have like new advanced weapons structures, and they probably got that from Russia. Do you believe it? Do you disbelieve it? Do you think it's all BS? Let me know. Dex, that's a lot of containers. I wonder, they're doing it by train or by, how are they?
It sure is, and I'm sure it's by train. But it sure is a lot. And the question is, can they afford it? And I'm sure they're getting paid it. But it should be a reminder to think how much they must have stockpiled, because they are trying to make sure that they can wage their own conflict against the South. They want to make sure that they have their defenses strong. And if they're pumping out this much into Russia, they must have a ton of it themselves already.
I mean, that's one of the only things they've focused on is their military, because they're a hermit nation that basically doesn't follow any of the world's recommendations. So basically, they're a bulldog. And then Philippines, China deploys military helicopters as dispute with a U.S. ally escalates. The Philippines, which we have an ancient treaty with, we're supposed to kind of back them up, right? Well, China dispatched a military helicopter to disputed waters and jammed the tracking systems of Philippine ships in the area to keep them from broadcasting their locations, the Philippine Coast Guard has claimed. The incident allegedly took place around Scarborough Shoal, which sits about 120 miles from the Philippine province of Luzon and nearly 700 miles from the Chinese mainland. So just take that last part. They're jamming their Coast Guard military or their military boats from broadcasting their position. Is this practice? Dex, do you think this is practice for the U.S. military? Are they practicing jamming?
It certainly gives them a real world application as opposed to a drill or a test.
And since they don't care what anybody says about how they're supposed to treat Philippines, they're just doing it. So hopefully that doesn't turn into something else. And then rising concerns over Chinese spy cranes in Seattle. So I did not know about this until today, but again, we have covered things like they say that 60% of our big cranes, the cranes that really are at all of our ports, have Chinese proprietary technology inside them. We're talking about potential backdoors into things that control the absolute supply chain flow into our country. And it is controlled by our adversary. What an absolute ridiculous thing. And who let it happen? Idiots that said, well, our bottom line will be great, until it's not our bottom line and it's China's bottom line. Dex, this is like really kind of freaky. And I'm going to do some of my own investigating because I have a couple buddies that work at the port. So I will ask about this, but it's why are people concerned?
Well, look, there's been an ongoing concern about these cranes. They're the spy cranes, as they have been coined now. They're made from China. Their software is run by China. They can keep track of everything that's coming and going in the ports, and potentially send all that information back to China, is what they're saying. These are in use in the Port of Seattle. They're in use lots of different places, but the Port of Seattle came out and said, hey, there are rising concerns about these, but there's no plans on replacing these cranes anytime soon. So that's part of the concern, is like, okay, well, we know there's an issue, but what are we doing about it? And is anybody going to, force these cranes to either be upgraded or replaced or whatever it may be? The president did announce the U.S. is investing $20 billion in port security and crane manufacturing. But just because we start crane manufacturing doesn't mean we produce cranes overnight. So, and I don't know that it's the Seattle port is either saying they don't want to replace them because they just want to keep using their China products because maybe they're in bed with China, or are they just saying we don't want to replace them because we got nothing to replace them with?
If you live in Seattle or near Seattle, you probably know Seattle has been in many headlines over the last 5 years for, if you're in the cultural war that's going on right now, Seattle's been at the front lines of that. From CV to other things that have happened, they have essentially been in the front. From rules that happened during CV, they were like, we were the testing zone. We were the most strict about some things. Meanwhile, we experimented. It was crazy stupid here during CV. I don't know if you guys had this in every state, but we even had lines in the grocery store aisles. So you could only do one way down the aisle. So if you went past the cereal you wanted, you had to go around and come back. Nobody followed it. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Absolutely no one. I never saw a single person, including the employees, follow this stupid system of having one-way streets on grocery aisles. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It was words we don't say in the 2000s anymore. It was really dumb. But as far as like the port, very, very progressive. Both of them are. It's absolutely chocked full of every person that you would see in a clip doing extreme things. So would not doubt this. A lot of people talk about California, about Newsom and things like that. We've got our Inslee. Heck, if you go out into the country here, everybody here, they wear their F Inslee shirts. Specifically, there's an entire group of people that have their Inslee shirts, and they wear them every day. So yeah, we've got our own problems here, but as far as the cranes, I will ask, and I actually know people that work at the port, so I will see, if there's any kind of inside scoop at that. I may even go down and see if I can find anything out. And then Chuck Schumer waved the People's Republic of China flag on stage at a Lunar New Year event on Sunday. People don't, when you zoom out, and just like what I just talked about, like with Newsom visiting China, nobody else gets to visit Xi directly. He did. You have just these weird things happening. Now, if you've ever seen a movie, let's see here, like what do you call it? Red Dawn or Dragon Day, then you kind of feel what we're hinting at here. Senator Chuck Schumer waved the People's Republic of China flag on stage at Lunar New Year event on Sunday. He and other top New York politicians appeared on stage at a rally preceding an annual parade in Manhattan's Chinatown, alongside Hu Peng, a hardline Chinese ambassador who publicly denies Beijing's human rights users. Xu Jinping, a senior consular official linked to the secret police station in New York. So somebody who they say is connected directly to the Chinese secret police station, which they say may be a spy port, was standing on stage with one of our big politicians. It's like, I'll let you guys do your own thinking. You're all adults here. Again, go check it out. Pretty crazy. That's pretty cool. It actually says live on X, emergency Texas on fire NATO deployment. It shows up like the same as Spaces does. That's cool. Anyways, what do you think about this? It is pretty nuts. Dex, it's kind of like, it's in this same kind of theme of like, is there people that are already possibly have somebody in their pocket? I talked about like the in the future, what if something happened from the inside out, where people in Dragon Day, this hypothetical scenario that they played out was that the sheriffs and the local people and the local governor, they were already on board when everything switched over. In that movie, they had the power go off, EMP hit, everything went down, and immediately there were local politicians, officials, people in charge that had essentially red bracelets that they handed out, and they said, hey, if you have these, that basically means you surrender, you'll get food rations, you'll get power, You'll get benefits. You'll be able to travel until 3 p.m. It was such a bad B movie as the way it was shot, but the plot was absolutely terrifyingly a real possibility. And in that movie, they show that the Chinese parts, this is back in 2012 or 2011, that the Chinese parts all had back doors in them. Fast forward right now, we're reading about the cranes and about DJI and all of this stuff. This was before any of that. So it was very ahead of its time, even though we knew about all of this stuff back then. It was way ahead of its time. Dex, what do you think about Schumer?
Not a good image, but maybe the image he wants. And maybe because, as we see there are plenty of people in DC, and many speculate from even our current leadership to lots of other folks in there maybe even on both sides of the party, but that are in bed, so to speak, or have been in bed very heavily with Xi and with China. So to what extent that means there's a potential negative effect to our country or a negative outcome because they've done something really sinister or bad, that's left for debate, but it's certainly a possibility. And you look at how, like you said, even in some of these movies, how they play out. Not that we're worried about Hollywood telling us what the world is really about, but they're usually not necessarily talking about something that couldn't be possible. They're usually talking about things that can be possible or ideas that have been presented before, or even things they may know or have heard from those in the know.
Yeah, everybody's going to have a pretty sturdy opinion on it, but it's definitely not what some wanted to see. If you haven't already, go check out Energy. This is our recommendation for a solar generator. This does have a weight, so make sure to remember if you are going to get one of these, you definitely want to get your name on it quick, especially because lithium is being fought over right now. The U.S. Army has actually ordered and done a contract with this same company. Energy is now sending out the tactical, their new Flex Tactical, to the U.S. Army under the STTR Phase 2 contract. So this is the same company. The Army doesn't care if it's pretty or if it's, they don't care if anything about the looks of it, how it does this, and that. They just care about if it turns on, and if it turns on every time. They care about reliability and quality. That is what you get with this. It's built like a tank. This thing, it's funny because before this video came out, I said, this thing could fall off the back of a truck. They show it on the back of like 3 different trucks. But this thing is literally as tough as nails. It is built right. And that's exactly what you want for something as important as a power backup, for it to be tough. It is silent. Nobody is going to hear it from 3 blocks away. You can have it in your living room, on your table. You don't have to have it out in a shed with proper air. You can just have it right there and have it running. As far as solar panels, you can either charge this like a huge battery bank. You might be familiar if you have one for your phone. You can charge it from the wall, and you can even supercharge it 1,000 watts per hour with a rapid charger, or you can charge it with solar panels. Solar panels, it also has mods. Just like Lego, you can add bricks in that allow you to triple the amount of charging you do. So say you want 12 panels instead of 4, they have a mod for that. If you want to rapid charge it with a UPS module, they have that. So it is as portable as you want it to be, or it is stationary as you want it to be. Up to 96 batteries it can expand, and 1,500-pound latch system, water and dust resistance. It's got a steel reinforced frame. All the components are top notch, and as far as heater in every battery. So the tactical is definitely top pick. They also have the regular Flex 1500. Both are great options for most everybody, again, but the tactical is definitely by far, with the latch system, is one of the most convenient to travel with, to expand, to do everything else with. Marfooglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Remember, there will be a wait, so go check on what the current wait is. If you're watching the replay, you'll have to call them and see. You could wait up to 6 months, so get your name on it now. Marfooglenews.com/energy. And the reason I say this, when I looked at people to affiliate, it's not great. It doesn't work out for the wait to be that long. It is something that is virtually out of control for most companies here. the reason I recommend this over something you can get on Monday that has a competitor that does all the same stuff, go look at the company that runs the competitors. Go look at who they're directly tied to, and you will quickly notice that it's very similar to the flags waving in this picture. So just be aware of that. You don't want something that when SHTF happens, that it's going to turn off on a dime, or magically it says air 404 or something and says remote controlled, we're turning you off now. So keep that in mind. Or the money, or it may not do that, and the money is just going directly to an adversary government. So just a thought. All right, and then Dex, let's go over to Ireland. You want to talk about what Shane Lynch just accused Swift of?
Yeah, so Shane Lynch, and I don't know if many will know this name. I didn't.
I didn't either.
It's probably because I'm not in the right demographic for the 1990s boy band. The boy band was called Boyzone, but he's a former member of that. He's now he's a 47-year-old Irish singer now. He's also a born-again Christian, so he's in the music business. He made his fame back in the day of being in a boy band called Boyzone. But anyway, he has come out and made some claims that aren't too unfamiliar with the things that we've actually talked about on this channel. Not that there are claims, but the community as a whole has been talking about as it relates to Taylor and the Swift and what's been going on. And he is basically accusing her of performing demonic rituals in her concerts. So here you have somebody that's sort of inside the music industry, somebody that's sort of inside that, but having a view of being Christian and not necessarily, or at least upholding to their Christian beliefs. If I don't know the guy personally, so I can't, and I'm not going to judge him, but that's at least what he says. So you kind of take that viewpoint of it, and you say, he's looking at this artist. There's a lot of artists out there. This is the quote. A lot of their stage shows are satanic rituals. They're live in front of 20,000 people. And he's even claiming that they may not even be realizing or recognizing what they're doing. But you'll see them, and I think he's referring to the audience might not recognize and realize what they're seeing. He said they're out there. You'll see lots of hoods up, masks on fire, and ceremonies and all sorts of things like that. And he says even down to Taylor. Yeah, even down to Taylor, one of the biggest artists in the world. You watch one of her shows, and she has 2 or 3 different demonic rituals to do with pentagrams on the ground or to do with all sorts of stuff on the stage. Again, his quote. But to a lot of people, it's just art, and that's how people are seeing it, unfortunately. So interesting insights from somebody in the industry, in the know, coming out and saying this. It got a little bit of headway in the news circuit, and I thought it was insightful for us to sort of talk about, as you and I were discussing, Adam.
Well, and it's like, this has been mentioned, talked about, and it's usually we talk about it here, and within a week or two, it's somewhere else, right? Now, it's you didn't see mainstream talking about how there's weird symbolism. It's like our community, and I'm not saying this channel directly, I'm saying in general, our community and my peers, we talk about it here in our community, and then it buzzes around and everybody starts talking about it. That's the power of independent media and all of my peers and all of us going, wait, this looks kind of weird. Why is there 2 serpents wrapped around the dress? Why is she dressed like a devil? And her fans are some of the most loyal. Some of you may be fans. Again, not talking about anything about the person itself, the entertainment industry in general, the stuff they put together. Little Nas X, Sam Smith, portrayed an image in his shows of actually other men doing something onto him. Like these things are traditionally, up until, I don't know, yesterday, were considered extremely like, whoa, that's really disturbing. Now our daily life. And it goes back to, like Dex and I talked, that it was back in the 80s. You had the death metal stuff. You had devil mass and taking a bat and taking its head off type of stuff. That was pushing the limits back even further. You have Elvis, shaking his hips, and that was, oh, this guy's demonic. Is it just part of art and the movement for it? Personally, I don't think so. I think this is straight up kind of shows the colors of Hollywood. But again, I like my life. It's very dangerous to talk about the Swifties. They are great people. I love them. They are awesome. They are all beautiful people. They are all very stable. I love them. And I appreciate them. I think that they're great. They're awesome. Did I say that already? What'd you say? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I've got to mute for a second. You don't want me talking about her? Okay. Can you put the axe down? Okay. I'm sorry, Stephanie. Okay. Who are the hooded figures you brought with you? Oh, those just your friends. Okay. All right, I'll unmute. Oh. And over to a developing country in Oakland. Very crazy stuff going on. We've got very, very insane pieces here. So let's just show you here. Oakland, California looks more like a hurricane hit a city. And just to show you here, this is absolutely nuts. So this is Yeti or not. Look at this. This is Oakland, okay? This looks like what we see on TV from a developing country. This looks like shanties in Haiti. This is Oakland. And Dex earlier said, well, aren't there parts of Seattle like this? Yes. In fact, I've videoed some of these, the kind of the tent cities, some of the illegal ones that they keep tearing down and keep getting built up. There's obviously the debate about, if you're homeless, what do you do? There's also the human factor that these are human beings and this is what they live in right now. It's very, very freaky. But when you think of how great and how amazing America is and the land of the free and home of the brave, and this is how it is becoming. I believe a lot of this is because of certain things that people are getting hooked on. A certain thing that they don't even want people talking about, starts with an F and ends with an N and maybe a 10 and null. That is tearing apart the United States. I'm sure it's tearing apart other places. And it is made primarily in another country, a specific one that kind of has their eyes set on us as not being number one anymore. So I think it's very disturbing to see where major cities are headed. If you go to my major city here in Seattle, you will see that a ton of it is boarded up for lease, for sale, for demolish signs almost everywhere. Downtown is now a ghost town. The people thought it would really just pick right up after CV ended, but it hasn't. There are still places boarded up since CV and since the protests, and it's been years. Rent is extremely cheap, and people still won't go down there because people are afraid for their life. I personally have been down there multiple times. It's been dangerous down there, but if you're from an area, you just do it. You just go through it. It used to be that the South End in Seattle was a little bit more dangerous than somewhere like downtown. Now you have a tent city at the courthouse. I don't know if they've taken it out, but literally you go to the courthouse, to the right, there is a tent city. It's right in the middle of downtown. You can't avoid the court, the jail, all of that. And it has a park, a beautiful park there that was turned into a tent city, like on, I think, the courthouse's property. So, I mean, to say where this is going is, it doesn't seem like it's going somewhere nice. Is this a sign of our economy failing? Oakland's always been not, it's not like this is, Martha's Vineyard or something. It's Oakland. It's been rough in Oakland, but has it always been this rough? I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. Dex, when you saw this, what did you think?
It's extreme. The first thing that came to my mind, in addition to the stuff that's coming across the southern border, in packages that's causing a lot of damage to our people is also the people that are coming across. And if we have this kind of problem with homeless in our nation, we're just adding to it. It's just going to get worse, and it doesn't make any sense what's going on and what we're allowing as a society right now.
And Oakland, of course, not too far away. You've got, of course, San Francisco right across the water. The whole Bay Area has always had its problems. But is it getting worse? Let me know in the comments down below. I know there's a lot of wonderful viewers over in the Bay Area and in Oakland and in San Francisco that are watching right now. What do you think about it? What does your town look like now compared to, I don't know, 10 years ago? I'd love to hear it. This is just kind of funny to end on a positive note. The blue screen of death. Literally. On the sphere. This is pretty funny. Dex, and I at first thought that this might be like a and I don't know. There's no confirmation that this is real, but again, some are saying that this is actually what was seen, and it really kind of puts you back. Like just a computer is running this thing. It's of course running thousands of LCD screens, but you would think that I don't know. I don't think this could be possible. Do you think this is? Do you think a normal computer or even a really, really big computer, because wouldn't something like this be run on hundreds of computers, or could it be run off of a computer that has the blue screen of death? Because
yeah, it's probably running off of a single computer because it's taking an image and then replicating it through systems to factor out and map out the LCD panels that make up that dome. So there's a central point. I'm amazed that it's a Windows box, but I'm not amazed because it just sort of it's kind of, unless somebody put this up as a joke, and maybe somebody there was trolling everybody and said, "Hey, look what I'm going to do in the middle of the night for fun," and pop that on the screen. But yes, it certainly is possible, and that is probably what it would look like if that's the truth, and it probably is true.
Again, it's the blue screen of death from Windows, and just shows you Windows is everywhere. Let's see here. Over to D Live. Thank you, 1B, Cambria, Mindy's mom. Thank you, of course, Poca Loco. Thank you again, Cybin. And 1B, thank you for being at every show. I appreciate you. Cambria, thank you for being at every show. Really can't say that enough. Thank you, Gunpowder Productions. Thank you, Bones and Tub Show. And Larry Gatlin. It looks like you are a top supporter today. Thank you. Big shout out to Nana Montana. Thank you to, of course, Chanel Beveliqua, Stephen McMahon, NJM, Kent Reader, KT Cleans a Lot, Stephen McMahon, Viv B, Craig Alicious, Ray the Way, End of Days, Fight for Your Life, Kevin Hicks, Tammy Lee, Grace for You Too, and of course, Reverend Brian York. I used to be in the library, Genius by Birth, thank you, Stormhawk, and Carol, Alex Hawkins, an old combat vet. Thank you. Love all of you guys. Thank you. Dex, thank you so much for everything you do.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Make sure to go over to marfugglenews.com/friends if you want to visit all of the mods. Make sure to thank your mods right now. Drop an M in the chat. Go over to Bones, Chance, CJ, Jem, Gemmer, Lisa R. Hall, Rip Crow Readiness, RGL Harris, Ilea, Trinity, and Wages World. It's time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It is a shoutro. Oh, shoot. I forgot the echo. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
Yeah, they're not scared. Everyone knows they're out there. Rich and prepared. They're not scared. Everyone knows they're out there. Rich and prepared. They're not scared. Everyone knows they're out there. radio.